Hi everyone, welcome to the Sugar and Crumbs kitchen. Well, today we've got my daughter in the kitchen. So I'm really pleased to say that we are going to be handing over to Laura. But before we do, let's just tell you what's going on tonight. So Laura is my daughter. She used to do plenty of lives, and we've realised she hasn't done a live for 14 months in the Sugar and Crumbs kitchen, albeit we did do a flashback with her last night, didn't we, Laura? Simon?
We did, yes.
So as you know, Simon is setting up all the flashbacks. That's all the past Facebook Lives over the last 3 years at 2 o'clock every day. And as it happens, Laura was doing that yesterday. So today she's going to be making fudge for you with our delicious icing sugars, marshmallows with our delicious icing sugars, and believe me, if you've not made them, once you've made them, you'll never go back to shop bought marshmallows. They're so easy to make and they are yummy, yummy, yummy. Anyhow, before I go, let me tell you what else is going on this week. We've got a Facebook Live tomorrow with Karen Griffiths in the kitchen, and I've completely forgot what Karen's going to make. Oh, a lemon tray bake I think she's going to make. I'm going to be using this fabulous portable airbrush tomorrow. So I'm going to use it on some cupcakes and we're going to spray everything gold. So we're going to have gold cupcakes tomorrow, maybe rose gold, you never know, bronze ones. So we'll spray it with those. These are back in stock, and the lovely man at PME, who I've been chatting up for you, has given you free paints for free. So you will get the pearl, you'll get the bronze, and you will get the gold. So you'll get those completely free. So you're making a very good saving there. You might wonder what these big boxes are here. Okay, these are the new tall white boxes. You can buy them in singles or bulk packs of 25. There's a 14 by 14 by 12, so that means it's 12 inches high. There's the 12 by 12 and there's the 10 by 10. So they're brilliant for your taller cakes. And little rollies. So you know how I've been demoing the little rollies. Well, I've managed to secure some more little rollies for you. So I'm going to go and put them online, but you will have to wait. I've got to get them shipped over. I've actually just had to make a decision. Do I fly them by sea, and it costs me just over £1,000, or do I fly them by air and it costs me just short of £5,000?
Technically, by sea it's not flying, Carol.
Yeah, do I fly them? Do I sail them by the sea, there's £1,000, or do I ship them by air and pay just short of £5,000? And I've gone for that option. So in that option, you'll be getting the rollie with a handle and you'll be getting the refills. But you can order them now. So when I hand over to Laura, I'll be making them live on the website ready for you to order. But you do have to wait. So if you order any other products, they won't be dispatched separately. So if you only want the rollies, that would be the best thing to do. And if you're happy to wait for these to arrive, they should be here in about 3 weeks. And if they come earlier, it's a bonus, isn't it? That's what we're looking for. And then on Saturday, I'm on Cake Flicks at 8 o'clock, so come and join me over there. I've got a lovely cake to make over there, and I think you'll thoroughly enjoy it. So that's me done now, so I'm going to hand over to Laura. Laura is...
Laura's looking ready, yes.
Is she looking ready?
Laura's looking ready.
Right,
Oh no, she's pulling faces.
So Laura's my daughter. It's the first time she's ever done this before on like satellite. So she's at her home kitchen and she's got Holly, my granddaughter, who's on comments, who's been told not to read out every single comment. Because when you tell the kids to do something, they do it, don't you? So she's going to read out, say a few hellos, and I'll probably ask if you ask to repeat the recipe. But the recipes for the fudge and the marshmallow is on the website, so don't ask, it will save a load of time. Just watch the demo closely. Laura's fantastic at telling you this. So Laura, can you hear us?
I can, yeah.
Right, we're going to hand over to you now.
Okay.
See you later, guys.
Am I on? Hello everybody, and thank you for joining us today. I'm at home in my kitchen, so welcome to here. This is at least one kitchen that I know where everything is. So we're going to do, as Mum already said, we're going to do fudge and marshmallows. I'm going to start with the fudge and then move on to the marshmallows, and then at the end I'm going to show you what everything looks like when it's set, because there is a bit of setting time. So the recipe is on the Sugar and Crumbs website, which is on the back of all our packaging, which is Sugar and Crumbs mixing it up.co.uk. And on there, you can go and find the fudge recipe, print it out like this. So you've got your recipe to hand, and you've also got the method as well. You can see my hands shaking. I'm a bit nervous. This has been a long time. Okay, so what you need is a heavy based pan. Can you hear me okay, Simon? Yeah, so a heavy based pan, I'm just going to show you. Heavy base just means that it's got this extra layer on your bottom of the pan. That just means that it's going to distribute the heat better when you're making things like this, making fudge, because we want to heat it up to a high temperature, but at the same time we don't want to heat it up too quickly so it burns. So I've already measured out 115 grams of butter, which we're going to pop in the pan to start with, and we're just going to take it over to the hob. Now you'll have to excuse me, I am going to have to keep moving this camera here over to the hob so that you can see what I'm doing. So all we're going to do is switch this over. So just bear with me one moment, Simon. So we're on the hob now, Simon, overhead. You there, Simon? Yeah. Look better or worse? Okay. So we haven't got anything else. Okay. Right, so I've got the butter on the hob, and I'm using an induction hob, but you can use any hob, your electric hob, your gas hob, and you just want to set it onto a medium temperature, so a medium gas, medium electric. So we're just going to leave that there. We want the butter to melt first of all. So we're just going to leave that there. And while we're waiting for that, we're going to come over and get our tray ready. So I'm sure you don't want to watch butter melt, but there it is. So we'll just pop this back over here. And we've got our tray. Okay, so the butter's just going to take a couple of minutes. So what you need, the important thing about fudge is you need to make sure that everything that you're going to use during making fudge is ready to hand, because once we start making the fudge, we have to stay with the fudge. We can't stop and come over and do other things. So everything that I need is to hand here. So we're going to get the tray ready so that we can have it when we need it. So grab yourself some parchment paper, and this is how I get my tray ready. Excuse the arm shots. Okay, so you just want to have a little bit of overlap. Can you see that on the camera? Just got a little bit overlap this side and a little bit overlap this side, and we're just going to cut it through like that. Now, just to help the paper stick down when we put it in, I'm just going to put a little bit of the cake release in the bottom to help it stick. Okay, so next you need to cut to each corner of your dish. Can you? I don't know whether you can see that or not. So hold on. So I'm just cutting towards the corner. So I've got a little flap here. Do you see that, Simon? I'll try and do it here so you can see. So on the opposite side to where we've just made the slits, again, we're going to just cut down to the corner there and cut down to the corner here. This is just making sure that we can fully cover all sides of the pan. So you're just going to lift it up, press it in, and use the flap that we've just made to make ourselves a little corner.
Lots of hives.
Hello. Hi everybody that's just joining.
194 eyes.
Eyes. People. Thank you for all joining me tonight. I'm super nervous to come back after 14 months. But at least it's in my own kitchen and I know where everything is. So I've just folded all those corners there and I've created a little neat square so nothing's going to be able to escape out of that. So I'm just going to pop that to one side, ready for the fudge to be cooked. So we're going to go back over to the hob where the butter is simmering away nicely. Is that a good angle there, Simon? Okay, so we're just going to use a whisk and we're just going to help that butter to melt in. Okay, so the next ingredient that we're going to use, there's only 3 ingredients to this fudge, so it's butter, condensed milk and a bag of icing sugar. So we've got the butter melted, now we're going to tip in the condensed milk. You can use any condensed milk that you can find. There's nothing different using different varieties, they all work exactly the same. And you're just going to pour that in. So there.
People are saying that your marshmallows are addictive.
They are. Well, I'm hoping not to eat too many tomorrow. Although me and Holly did scrape out the entire mixing bowl before when we finished. Okay, so we're just going to mix that in now, combining the butter and the condensed milk together. We just want to give it a good whisk. And you'll see that the butter will disappear and it will just become a nice creamy colour. So at this stage I can walk away from it because I've not got my sugar in there yet. So I can walk away if I need to just grab something quickly. But once I've put the sugar in, I've got to stay here for the next 15 minutes while we get to temperature. So anybody that comes in and wants anything, you're just going to have to ignore them. The doorbell rings, they'll have to wait. We're just going to stay here. Okay, so you can see it's gone all nice and creamy now. I'm just going to grab the icing sugar.
Where are you buying your condensed milk from?
I just bought it from the supermarket. You can get it from any supermarket. It's normally near where the custards are and jelly and things like that. You can even get it from your corner shop normally as well. A lot of people put it in a coffee, I think, don't they?
How much butter?
So it's 115 grams of butter and then 1 full tin of condensed milk. So I've just used the carnation one there. So it's 397 grams of that. And then we're going to be using the honeycomb icing sugar today to make this fudge. Okay, so I've already opened my bag. We are going to be using the full 500 grams, but we're going to put it in 2 halves. So I'm going to put half in now. Sorry about the cloud. You don't want to put it all in because if you're not stirring it, getting it all combined, you're going to end up burning the sugar because you're not combining it quick enough into the liquid. It's going to burn on the side of your pan. So for anybody that's not been doing any workouts lately, this is one of your arm exercises because as this starts to thicken up, it's going to become harder and harder for you to stir. So there is benefits other than eating all the fudge, is that you're getting an arm exercise as well. And halfway through you could even swap arms or just make 2 batches. I'm just going to give that a good stir. Okay, so once that's combined, we're going to add in the next half. Both of the things that I'm making today are very messy, so don't worry about it until you've see that. Don't worry about it, just clean it all up at the end. Okay, so we've got all the icing sugar in there now, and we're just combining it all. And this is where your mussels are going to come in. So like I say, now at this point, at the icing sugar's in, you can't walk away. You've got to stay. You've got to commit to the fudge. You've got to stay with it. And just keep continuously stirring away. We just want all that sugar to melt into the butter and condensed milk mixture.
$213 people watching.
Oh, got it right this time. People watching, not eyes. So my daughter Holly's in the kitchen. She's 11. And she's my little sidekick for tonight. Paying her in Fudge and Marshmallows as it happens. Aren't we, Holly? She's been eyeing up this camera equipment as well. I think she might be doing some of her own videos. Okay, so I'm just going to turn it up. So we had it on a medium heat. I'm just going to turn it up slightly just to start getting some more heat through.
Is the heat still on?
The heat is still on, yeah. The heat is on can't say that word. All the time, continuously, all the time. So we're just trying to get this up to temperature. So there's, you can use a sugar thermometer to find out what the temperature is of your mixture. But I'm just going to show you how to do it without a thermometer for those of you that haven't got it. And show you what it is that we're actually looking out for. Can you hear me okay, Simon? Yeah.
Can you use a spatula?
No, you need to use a whisk because it's going to help you to stir it faster. You're just combining it more. Oh. So what we're looking at trying to get is we're trying to get it to start bubbling. So if I just slow down here, I can see some really tiny bubbles. I don't know whether you can see them on the camera. This is just some very tiny ones. What we're looking at, what we want is some really big bubbles. And once we start getting quite a few of those big bubbles, that's when we know that we're getting near the temperature that we want. So roughly from when we put the sugar in, it's about 12 to 15 minutes. But it does depend on your hob really. I'm not a big fan of induction hobs, but when I moved here last year, this is what I got. It's a lovely kitchen. The only downfall is this hob. But I've learned to get on with it.
What flavour icing is it?
So we're using the honeycomb today. You can use any of the flavoured icing sugar. Most of them will come out the same caramelly colour that this one's going to come out. Obviously, if you're using the chocolate icing sugars, you're going to get a chocolate coloured fudge. The method is exactly the same. And if you're using the cinnamon based icing sugars, then you will get a slight speckled and probably a little bit rich, a bit more of a rich caramel colour. So we're just going to keep going. Told you it was an arm exercise. Okay, so if I just slow down again now, we're starting to get a few more bubbles there. Can you see any bubbles there, Simon? Yeah, so they're getting bigger and they're coming right from the bottom of the pan up. So what will happen once we start to get more of these bubbles, you can see them now, it will start to come from the bottom, rise up, and what we'll see is we'll be able to see the base of my pan.
243 people watching.
I'm just going to turn it down a touch. So while I'm whisking now, you're going to be able to see more of the taste. Now, every time I cook on my induction hob, even though I do have a heavy base saucepan, my fudge does always get a little bit of a speckled colour, which you might be able to see on the camera now. This never happens when I do it on the gas hob, but for some reason it always happens when I do it on the induction. But it doesn't affect it in any way, so don't worry about it. You still see it okay on the camera there? Okay, so the thicker that it gets as well, the harder it is to stir, which is why it's wearing me out. I'm running out of energy. Good job I've only got to do this once. Okay, any questions, Holly?
Not right now.
So if you can see now while I'm stirring, I'm starting to be able to see more and more of the base of my pan. And it's bubbling away nicely. So it's just about at temperature now. Now if you want, I'm making a soft fudge today. If you wanted to make more of a tablet fudge, you just need to add on an extra 2 minutes. So it gets that little bit thicker, and then when you cut it later on after it's set, it will be more of a tablet set. So it won't cut as nice, it will be more rustic, as we like to say.
Could you use an electric whisk?
I've never used one myself, but I know that some of our customers have used an electric whisk, and it would probably take out some of the effort that's going into it now. But when you make this for people, if you're doing it for friends or family, it's definitely been made with lots of effort. But like I say, it does take a bit of time.
Is it a full bag of icing sugar?
Yeah, a full bag of... Pardon? Top camera's gone off. Okay. Well, it's done now anyway, so I'll bring it over. I'm just going to take it off the heat and bring it over so that I can see what's wrong. Just bear with me a second. Sorry, there's bound to be something that interrupts. It says that I'm still on. What should I do, Simon? Should I leave the room and come back? Okay. Holly, can you just go and stir that fudge so it doesn't...
Yeah.
You've got the picture? Okay. Right, we'll be back on in a minute. Maybe it just got a bit too hot over there. Are we back? Hot.
Yeah, just tilting so it goes. Just tilting so it goes.
Is that right? Yeah? Can you see that now? If we bring the fudge over. Yeah? Thank you to my assistant, Holly. Okay, so we're taking it off the heat. When I stir it, you can see the base, or you could do when I was there. We've got a nice thick mixture. So we're going to put it into our dish. Now, if you wanted to add any colour, you would just add your colour in the last minute, so that you've just got time to give it a good whisking. And if you want to add sprinkles, I find that if you pop them in the base of your dish first, like this, you can then pour over your fudge. Is that camera working, Simon? Can you see? So that's the consistency that you're looking for when it's pouring out. So once it gets into the tin, the fudge starts to cool down straight away. So it's already starting that setting process. So you've got to work quickly. And what I like to do with the end of my pan is let it to completely dry and then pick out all the fudge afterwards. You don't want to do it now. And I have had this in the past when my husband's walked in. As soon as I poured it in there and stuck his finger in this red hot pan, you don't want to be doing that. So I'm just going to pop that over to the side. And then I'm just going to use my little palette knife just to spread out the top. Make sure it's in all the corners. Like that. So this takes about half an hour to set. So I have already made one today, which I'm going to show you once we've got started with the marshmallows, so that we can chop it up and you can see what it's going to look like at the end there. So that's the fudge ready. I'm just going to leave it as it is. Just put it out on the kitchen side, just like that. So I'm just going to move that over here. Okay, everybody follow that okay, Simon? Emma, do I look better though? I've got that many grey hairs since last time I went to the hairdressers, so it's not a bad thing.
What size tin did you use?
So the tin, so with fudge, you can use any size tin. It doesn't make any difference. It just depends on what type of thickness that you want afterwards. So whether if you want a really thick fudge, if you want to like slice it in big pieces, you could put it in a loaf tin. You can use a silicone tin and just give it a spray with some of the cake release that we used before, or you can use a circle tin, anything that you want to do.
Can you put sprinkles on the underneath of the fudge?
Yeah, so the fudge that I've just done there, I've put sprinkles in the tin before I've placed the fudge over the top. So later on when we flip it out, those sprinkles will just be in the top of the fudge setting. So when we cut it, you'll have a few little sprinkles in each, hopefully. Anything else, Holly? This is new to Holly. Holly's never been on Facebook before in her entire life. Have you, Holly?
Lots of yummies in the comments.
Okay, so we're going to move on to the marshmallow. So again, the recipe for the marshmallow is on the website. You can go through the main website, or you can go through the recipe website, which is on the back of the packaging, somewhere here. So we've got loads of different recipes that you can use the icing sugar for. Loads that I've done, loads that Carol's done, loads that the other girls have done, and they've all been tried and tested, and they're all really nice. We've done plenty of them. So the marshmallows we're going to be making today, we're going to use the lime and raspberry marshmallow flavouring. So again, you can use any of our flavourings. The recipe is exactly the same and it works the same way. So I've got one here that I made before. So I am going to, once we've got started with the marshmallows that I'm going to make now, I'm going to chop this one up so that you can see what you would do with it. So I have coloured this one. I'm just going to pop it out of the tin. So this is what you're going to end up with, whether you can see on that top camera. So I've coloured it. I've coloured it in 2 colours, lime and raspberry. I've done a green and a pink. You don't have to colour it. I'm just showing you a different way if you wanted to add colour. I'm going to show you how you would do that and how you would separate it. So with the marshmallow, you do need quite a big tin. So I've used a brownie tin, which I think is a standard size. I'm not really good on sizes of things, but this is was a brownie tin. So that's the kind of thing, because it's quite high as well, so I can fit it all in. So I'm just going to pop this marshmallow to one side, and then we'll come back to this later when we chop it up, and I'll show you how to store it and how to prepare it. Okay, so again, we need to have another heavy based pan, which I've got here, and we're going to get all the ingredients ready that we need in here to start off with. So I've already measured out the ingredients that we're going to use, and I've got them here as well. So we're going to add in 200 grams of granulated sugar, so just the normal sugar that you have for your tea and coffee. So 200 grams of that, and we're going to put that in the bottom of the pan. Is that pan in the right place for you to see there? Yeah. And then we're using the lime and raspberry flavour that way. Yeah, so we're using the lime and raspberry, which is a really nice summer flavour.
Do you put the fudge in the fridge?
No, you just leave the fudge out on the side. So it takes about half an hour to set. I normally just leave it on the side. Just somewhere on your worktop is fine. So 200 grams of the granulated sugar, 200 grams of the flavoured icing sugar. So just measure that out. So I've got a mixer set up already as well. You're going to need a clean mixing bowl and a mixer, which I've set up here. You're going to need your pan, and you're going to need your tin, and you're going to need a spatula. Okay, so 200 grams of granulated sugar, 200 grams of your flavoured icing sugar, and then you're going to put in 3 tablespoons of water. And then you're going to add in your liquid glucose. Now our recipe, we use the liquid glucose. Again, you can buy this from most supermarkets. It's in the baking aisle normally, near all the cake decorated bits and, you know, essences and things like that. It's there somewhere. I can always find it in the bigger supermarkets. I can never find it in the smaller ones, so I'd go to the bigger one. Some marshmallow recipes use egg in their recipe. This one doesn't have any eggs. We're using the liquid glucose as our stabilizer. So you need 200 grams, and these are 140 grams in each one. So we're going to use a full tub, and then I'm going to use 60 grams roughly. I'm not going to measure it out because it's so sticky, it's hard to get it out and then measure it and then put it back. So I'm roughly just going to use a little bit less than half of that. So because it is so sticky, and I'm going to use the full one of these, I'm just going to chop off the top, and I'm just going to squeeze it out from the top. It's the easiest and quickest way to get it out. We're going to get it all in there. And get really sticky hands. Okay, so I'm just going to pop that one out the way. And then because I'm using the other half roughly of this, I'm just going to squeeze this one from the tube. So I've already used half of this one roughly today when I made the other batch of marshmallows.
Have you ever tried it with veg gel instead of gelatine.
Yeah, the vegetarian. Yeah, I have. I'm just gonna have to wash my hands quickly. Yeah, I think there was a recipe on our I have tried it. I think the recipe is on the Sugar and Crumbs Mixing It Up page. I'll have to check, but yeah, you can make it. There is a variation that you can make it with the veggie gelatine. It's a slightly different texture than the ones that we're making now because the gelatine does give it a lot more of a springiness, that the veggie gel does work fine, and you can pretty much just switch it like for like as well. Okay, so we've got everything in there that we need. So we're going to now take this over to the hob, but I'm not going to take the camera over there because we're going to leave it on the hob. So we're just going to put it on a medium setting. So on my induction hob, I'm going to put it on a number 5. And we're just going to leave that to melt down while we get the rest of the ingredients ready. Okay, so I've got a jug with 180 ml of warm water here, and then I've bought these gelatine packs. They come in a packet of 3 like this, and you need 3 for this recipe. So we're going to be using all 3 of those, and I've just got my mini whisk here. So we're going to add all of these to our warm water. So it's just lukewarm water in here, and we're just going to prepare this ready for when our sugar syrup is cooked, so that it's had time to dissolve the gelatine crystals. So we're just putting all 3 bags in there, and then we're just going to give that a good whisk. We just need to make sure all those crystals are being dissolved. So it should start to foam a little bit when you give it a mix like that. And then you're just going to pop that to one side. Okay, so I've only got one of these brownie tins, so you have to excuse that this one's got a bit of marshmallow on, but I'm going to reuse it again. So we're going to prepare the tray. So as I said, this is a brownie tin. It's just like a square shape, I think roughly maybe about 20 centimetres by 20 centimetres. And I've already put some vegetable oil on earlier, which is still there, so I don't need it again, but I've got some vegetable oil in a bowl here, and I just brushed all around the edges of that, and that's just if the cling film misses any parts, it just makes it easier. So I missed a bit here earlier, the marshmallow sticks to it, so we're just going to brush that on and then cover it in cling film. Okay, so when I put that, I'll just quickly show you that sugar syrup. When I put it on the heat, you'll notice that I haven't stirred it in. The first couple of minutes, we just want it to naturally break down on its own. So I haven't stirred it. I'm just going to leave it for a few minutes on the hob like that, just to heat up on its own. Okay, so cling film. You need to take it a little bit past the tin, so it's got an overhang. I can't see this camera now, Simon, so I don't know what you can see. Yeah, so I've got a little bit of overhang this side, and then I'm going to take it down into the tin and stick it to the base. So this is going to be your bottom side, but to be honest, later on when we've covered it in some icing sugar, you can't really see that it's got a bit of a crinkle at the bottom. I know some people are perfectionists and want it to be crease free, but we're all about rustic at Sugar and Crumbs. Okay, so once we've got that bit in, we then need to unfold some more cling film so that we can have enough to take it all the way over the top of the tin, so that when we've got the marshmallow in there later, we can take it all the way over and tuck it in. If that makes sense. So I'm just going to chop that where I want it to be. My scissors are all sticky now. And then we've got our tray ready. So I'm just going to pop that aside again. I love saying pop for some reason when I'm baking. We'll just pop it there. I'll just move these things out of the way. So I'm going to take you back over to the hob. So Simon, let me know if this doesn't work again. So I'm just going to quickly give my gelatine another quick whisk. We don't want it to be setting while it's waiting. So I'm just going to give that another stir and then again put it to one side. Okay, here goes Simon. Wish me luck. So we're going back over to the hob. You see that, Simon? Yeah. Okay, so it's already started to melt nicely. So now that it's at this stage where we have got some more liquid, we're going to gently fold in the rest of the sugar. So again, I've still just got it on that medium heat. And we're just going to break all that sugar down to get a nice syrup. It smells lovely. I don't know whether everybody's used lime and raspberry yet, but it's such a summery smell. These marshmallows won't last long. So I'm just breaking down any sugar that I can see in these little lumps. And what we want to do is just get it up to temperature now so it starts to bubble up. So I'm just going to turn it up to number 7 on my induction hob, just to speed it along. So in here, I'll just go over what we've put in here so far. So we've put 200 grams of granulated sugar, which is just your normal sugar that you have with your tea and coffee. 200 grams of your chosen flavoured icing sugar. 200 grams of the liquid glucose. And 3 tablespoons of water. And we just want this to bubble away. Is there any more questions, Holly?
It's just, can you use grease-proof paper?
Yeah. For the marshmallows.
Yeah.
For the marshmallows, it's better to use cling film just because it just wraps better around it. It secures all of it. What you want to do is tuck it all in so that it's not out in the air, because if it's out in the air when it's starting to form, it's going to dry out too quick. So we're trying to keep it all tucked in, and the cling film sticks better to it.
Also, do you need a sugar thermometer?
No, you don't need a sugar thermometer. These recipes that I've done today, the fudge and the marshmallows, trying to get them, to work so that you don't need them. Not everybody has that sort of equipment, and if somebody that's new to baking wanted to make marshmallows, they're not going to necessarily need to go out and buy a sugar thermometer. They're just going to be able to use the things that they've already got at home. So once it started bubbling, we're just going to give it a couple of minutes to bubble. So it's been bubbling now for probably a minute, so it's at temperature. So from when it starts to really bubble, we're just going to give it about 3 minutes, roughly. So we're just going to keep stirring it. So I turned it up to help me get there a bit faster. But I'm just going to, I recommend that if you're doing this for the first time, to follow the method that I've put down in the recipe. Just because I'm doing this live, I just want it to speed it up, otherwise You're just watching me stir for half the live.
There are no comments right now.
Okay. Everybody's watching the bubbles.
If you've got any questions, comment them now.
Thanks, Holly. Okay, so as I said before, I've already got my mixer out. I've got a clean mixer with a clean bowl, and I've already set onto it the whisk attachment. So you're going to whisk this, and you need to make sure again that that's ready. So as soon as your sugar syrup's ready to go, you're ready to go with your mixer.
Still no comments.
So it's starting to get quite foamy, quite thick. And that's what we want. We want to be able to see that it's starting to get sort of translucent. And when you stir it, you can see the base. So it's very similar to the fudge in that when it's getting to temperature, it's easier to move away from the bottom of the pan. And that is when it's reached the temperature. So when I'm stirring now, you can see the base. Can you see that, Simon? Even Simon's learning something. We'll have Simon doing a live soon, won't we, Simon? Okay, so I'm happy with that now. So I'm going to take that off the heat. And I'm going to move my camera back over to the mixer now. So just need to make sure that's in the right position. So what can you see there, Simon? Yeah. So if I put it down, can you see it in here? Yeah? Okay. Okay. So I'm going to bring over my mixture. And I'm going to set this down. I'm just going to put it on number 2 to start with. And I'm just going to add in into the side there while the mixer's whizzing.
Can you use leaf gelatin?
For this recipe, I would recommend using the gelatin sachets. You could use the leaf ones, but you tend to use more, and they're a bit hard, so can sometimes be quite harder to find. So this sets straight away very hard. So I'm just going to put that under some hot water. Okay, so back to the gelatine. I've got that here. And I'm just going to add this in. What I want to happen in the mixing bowl is that I want it to just whiten slightly.
Can you use a hand mixer?
You can use a hand mixer, but it is going to take you about 12-15 minutes to mix completely. So it's entirely up to you. If you want the arm exercise, then you can do it by your hand mixer. If you want to just put it in there and do something else while you're waiting, then you can do. Okay, so can you see inside the mixer there, Simon? Yeah? Can you hear me okay? Yeah, just about. Told you it was going to be noisy. Okay, so once I start to see the mixture in there is starting to thicken and starting to become white in colour, so probably after 2 minutes of mixing, that's when we're going to add the gelatine. Now, if you're about to add your gelatine and it feels a little bit tough, just add in a tablespoon at a time of hot water, very hot water. Just put a tablespoon in. Sometimes, depending on the temperature that's in the room of your kitchen, it can start to set a bit quicker. So if it does do that, add a tablespoon of hot water in, give it a good mix. I don't know, can you see on the front camera there, Simon? Just give it a good mix and it'll start to break down that gelatine again so that you can easy to pour. You just want to make sure that it's runny. What I'm saying is if it starts to get thick, you need to make sure that you loosen it a little bit because that thickness will just crystallise in the marshmallow and you don't want that. Okay, so now that you're in here, I'm just going to stop it quickly just so you can hear me. But in there now it's gone quite white. Can you see that? Okay, so I wouldn't normally lift it up, I'm just showing you. That's when we want to add in our gelatine. We're just going to pour it in down the side of the whisk. And we're just going to let that work away. So again, Simon, that's going to take about 10 minutes. So I'm going to come back here. Back at the front. Can you hear me okay? Yeah, so I'm just going to go back to the fudge while we're waiting, just to fill in a bit of space. We've already got our tin ready for the marshmallow. I've got my colours ready to go when my marshmallow gets to the consistency that I want it to be. So everything's ready. I'm just going to show you what to do with the fudge when it's set. So I'm going to bring over one that I made earlier. I'm just going to turn that down a little bit so you can hear me. So I've got a knife here. Just going to grab the fudge. So this is the fudge that I made earlier today. Can you see it there, Simon? Yeah. So what happens when it's set, we made this one probably about 4 hours ago. You're just going to lift it out of your tin. You've got your tin. And then you can peel back all the corners of your paper and it should just peel away from that so you've got your fudge. So again, the tin that you use for your fudge is all dependent on how thick you want that fudge to be. So if this one's not very thick, if you wanted it to be thick, then you just use a smaller and taller tin. So we'll slice this one up. So roughly this mixture makes approximately 700 grams of fudge. So when I'm portioning this up for people, I normally give them about 100 grams each. So this one's a soft fudge, and you should just be able to slice right through, like that.
Everyone's loving your chopping board.
Yeah, this is my made with love. So you can cut it however you want to cut it. I just normally put it in cubes, like that. But if, again, if you're doing it with a soft fudge, you could also cut shape. This is virtually the only cutter that I've got in the kitchen, which is for my scones. But if it's a soft fudge, but imagine if this was smaller, then you could cut out shapes of fudge if you wanted to. So it's soft enough to be able to do that. So again, it depends how and what you want to do with it. So I'm just going to pop that aside. So any questions about the fudge?
Just that it looks delicious.
Good. So I'm just going to pop that aside, out of the way. Somebody at my door. They didn't get the memo.
I'll go to.
Okay, so I'm just going to flip the camera back round to the marshmallow mixture just so you can see where that's up to. You see there, Simon? Can you see it, Simon? Yeah, so it's going a lot more whiter, it's building up in volume. So we're just going to keep going with that there a little bit longer. So we'll just carry on preparing the tin. So earlier we did the base of the tin. I'm going to turn it around that way. What you need to do now is you need to cover that extra piece of the piece that's going to go over the top. We're just going to cover that with some vegetable oil as well. Like that. So we've got that ready. There. Okay. So a bit of going back and forth with. That angle okay, Simon, there? I have to turn it off so I can hear you. So as you can see, it's the volume is going higher and higher, it's getting whiter. We just want to get it a little bit thicker than this. I'm not going to take it to full consistency of where I want it because I want to add some colour. But I'm just going to take it off a minute before because you can over mix your marshmallow and then you won't be able to pour it out at all. So we need to be able to have it a thick consistency that's still dripping a little bit. That makes sense.
What vegetable oil did you use?
I just used this vegetable oil. You can use other oils. You don't want to use a strong flavoured oil. So vegetable oil, sunflower oil, they're both okay. You just don't want anything that's going to have a taste. We're not trying to add any taste. We're just trying to stop the marshmallow from sticking. So you just want to use your cheap oil, I suppose, your vegetable and your sunflower.
Can you add things like raisins and chocolate chips to the fudge?
Yeah, so the fudge you can add in just before. You don't want to add it in too early because you don't want it to get in the way of your whisking. Yeah, and like I said with the sprinkles, it's very quick. Once fudge is removed away from the heat, it starts to cool down really quickly. So you need to have whatever, if you're going to add in fruit, nuts, sprinkles, it needs to be there ready. Now you need to either add it in the bottom of the tin, which is probably the easiest way of doing it, or you need to add it in the last 30 seconds before you take it away from the heat, so it's not getting in the way of your whisk while you're cooking it, but it's being combined if you want it inside. I always think it looks nicer if it's just on the top of your fudge, sprinkled in the bottom, and it's easier. So I'll just check this again. So it's getting a lot thicker, but it's still running down. Even though it's getting slower as the volume builds up, it's still running down. So we'll just give it another minute. Okay, so as I said before, we're making the lime and raspberry flavoured icing sugar. So I'm going to colour it in 2 different colours. So to do this, you do need to have 2 mixers going at the same time, or you need to have a mixer that's going, and you need to have a very strong whisk or a hand whisk so that you can separate the mixture and have it ready in a bowl to get whisking. It's all about timing. You don't want to over whisk it. If you haven't got two mixers, just choose one colour, and when we separate it, we'll put one half white in the bottom, and then the second half you leave in the mixer, and that's what you're going to colour. But I'll show you in a moment. Okay, so I've got a really nice consistency, and it's on the whisk, and it's slowly just dripping down. Can you see that, Simon? So it's getting super slow now. So you need to have your spatula ready. Now I'm just going to bring over my other mixing bowl here. So what I'm going to do is, because I'm doing two colours, so this consistency now that you've got is kind of like that consistency of that. What's that stuff you like in a jar? Fluff.
Marshmallow fluff.
Marshmallow fluff. So we've got marshmallow fluff here. That's the sort of consistency that you want. This is a little tiny bit under, but that's because I'm adding a colour. If I wasn't adding a colour, I'd just give it maybe another 30 seconds to a minute and pour it straight into my tin. But we're going to colour it. So I'm just going to take half out and put it into the other
People
mixing
asking
bowl.
how do you do the ripple effect?
You just so you have to have it at this softer consistency like this, and then you will just place it into your tin. So pour it into your tin, have your jam or your chocolate, and just throw. I tell you what, I'll do it. Get me some jam out of the fridge. I'll show you, it's easier. We'll do it in the pink side. So I've got half there, which I'm going to put. Yeah. So I'm going to put that half there, and I'm going to put the other half on my other mixer. Thank you, Holly, my glamorous assistant. Okay, so can you see this mixer, Simon? Yeah. So you're just going to add in the colour to this one, and then I'm going to go around and add in the other colour, and we're just going to mix it for 30 seconds. Okay, we're back. Right, so I've got my green here, I've got the pink, I've done exactly the same. So I'm just going to turn this camera back round. Feel like a juggler. Right, what? Can you see the tin there, Simon? You see all of the tin? Yeah? Okay. So I'm just scraping down the marshmallow from my my whisk. And just giving it a stir just to get the rest of the colour in. And then we're going to pour that into the base of the tin. So this is actually cold now, now that we've been whisking it. So you can stick your fingers straight in there, dig in, and lick all the rest of that fluff, which is what Holly will be doing while you can't see her. So grab your palette knife and just brush it with a little bit of the vegetable oil on each side, and then use that to scrape down the spatula, if you can. And then we're just going to spread that out. So again, like the fudge, as soon as you stop whisking it, Holly, just put that back on for on a number one, please. As soon as you stop whisking it, it starts to set.
This one. Mum.
So you've got to work quick. And
This mixer.
yeah, just turn it on for like a second. Is it mixing again?
Yeah.
So it's not going to be really neat because it's super sticky. So we're just going to try and spread it out the best that we can. Right, turn it on. Okay. So I'm going to get the next one. Wait, you can get me a cocktail stick, please. It's a good job I've got an assistant. Not got enough hands. Okay, put the cocktail stick there, Holly, thank you. So I'm just doing the same again with the pink. I'm just going to stir in the rest of the white.
Are you doing the ripple effect?
Yeah. I'm going to show them on this pink one. So it's a messy job. So this is the reason why you don't want to take it to the full mix before you put your colour in, because it's going to set and then you won't have time to spread it fully, as we did earlier when my little one came in and asked if he could have some. Okay, so again, brush your palette knife. Get that in. And then just spread it out. So you want to try and make this top layer a bit neater if you can. So this is why you need the vegetable oil all the way around the sides, to just be able to keep it in some form of not sticking. Okay, so if I was going to swirl it, I would normally use white marshmallow so that you can see it better, but I wanted to colour it. So just grab a teaspoon. So you just need to have your jam or your chocolate spread in a little jar, and just add in a little tablespoon of hot water. Just to break up your jam. If you're using chocolate spread, you don't need to do it unless you've had the chocolate spread for a while, and then you would need to maybe melt it slightly. So you just want to break that jam down a bit. Take a little bit more time. And then all you would do is you would just add in drops of the jam or chocolate spread. This one's quite lumpy because it's not a smooth jam. You just add that in to the top, and then you would grab your cocktail stick and you would just swirl it like that, and it goes through. It doesn't look nice at this stage, I've got to admit, when you do this, but when it's all done later on, when it's set, it does look really effective because it goes right through the marshmallow, if that makes sense. And you could do with a smooth jam. Does that make sense? Does everybody understand, Holly?
Well, there's no comments about it yet.
We lost people a little bit.
I've got a comment.
Yeah.
Why are you using jam?
Why am I using jam? Because you would use jam to make a swirl, or you would use the chocolate spread. So we put the oil on earlier to stop the top of the marshmallow sticking. So you're just going to cover it over the top and then push it down to seal all the top of the marshmallow like that. So when you do add the jam, you're not going to get that smooth finish. You're going to have, you'll see on the pictures, if you go onto the website, the Raspberry Ripple marshmallow does have a sort of bumpy look on the top, and that's because you swirled it and it starts to set straight away. So once you've tucked it all in, you're just going to place that again just on the worktop for 4 hours. That's going to take to set.
There's a comment, but I don't know what that last word says. It says, could you use a
Kool-Aid? Yes, you could use a Kool-Aid. If you buy the Kool-Aids that you can buy in the supermarket, where it's in like a dripping squeezy pot already, then yeah, definitely that would be a lot easier. But I'm just trying to show you what you can do, and I've only got this jam. Okay, so going back to the one that I made earlier today, after 4 hours, can you see, is that in the right place there, Simon? So after 4 hours, you're going to unwrap your marshmallow and it's going to look like this. So again, the tin that you put it in depends on what you want it to look like at the end result. If you want to have big chunks of marshmallow, a brown tin is good. If you want to have it to be really thin, or you want it to be taller, then you just change the tin for what you want to do. Okay, I'm just going to grab another chopping board. Okay, so what you need to do now is you need another bowl, another 2 bowls, 1 empty bowl, and 1 bowl which I've filled with in the recipe it says to have 250 grams of icing sugar. 200 grams went into the syrup, the sugar syrup. 50 grams is for this stage, and this is because we're making a mix to put the marshmallow in to give it an outer coating, and that outer coating will stop it from sticking to the other marshmallows. So in there is 50 grams of the lime and raspberry icing sugar and 35 grams of corn flour. So just your normal corn flour. Is that the right way? So just know what you use to thicken sauces, gravies, things like that. Just normal corn flour that you can pick up anywhere, and that's in there as well.
Grandma said, tell Mum to cover the marshmallow now with icing sugar and corn flour, then chop.
Yeah. Thanks, Mum. Way ahead of you. That's what I'm doing now. Okay, so we've got the corn flour and the icing sugar mixture. So 50 grams icing sugar, 35 grams of corn flour, and then you just need a clean spoon. Give that a stir to mix that. You can just use corn flour if you wanted to. The reason why we're mixing it with the icing sugar is that it just gives a nicer taste. You're just adding in more flavour, which is obviously nicer. Okay, so I'm going to take this off the cling film. If I can. Come on, cling film. I've got a little sticky patch underneath there. Okay, so you are going to be left with greasy hands every time you touch it. So I'm just going to quickly wash my hands again.
Grandma says that she meant cover the whole marshmallow rather than chop and dip.
Okay. I've no idea what that. You want me to pick all that up and put it in the bowl? I'm not gonna chop the whole thing up. I'm just gonna show you what you need to do so that you can have it ready. So let's move that fudge out of the way. Okay, so again, I've got my vegetable oil and my brush. I've got a sharp knife, and I'm just gonna cover the entire knife. The reason why everything that we use with marshmallow we cover with the vegetable oil is it just helps to stop it sticking to everything. So we just put it on the cling film to stop it sticking to the tin, and then on the knife stop it hopefully to cut. You will have to keep doing it during chopping it. So can you see where I'm cutting there, Simon? Okay, so we're just going to chop a slice off there. So it's still, even though I put all that vegetable oil on, it is still sticking. So during, you just need to have that bowl at the side there ready just to keep chopping away. So you can see that we've got the two colours there. And we're just going to chop it up. So I've got my bowl here. So I've got one bowl that I'm going to dip it in, and then one bowl that I'm going to put it in once we've dipped it. So let's see if I can move this out the way here. And we'll put that there. Can you see that, Simon? So can you see the bowl of icing sugar and the marshmallow? Yeah. So we're just going to slice it and chuck it in there. So just do a few pieces at a time. I'm doing quite big chunks.
That looks so pretty.
So I'm just going to do this. Okay, and then once we've got it in there, so if I try and pick that up now, it's sticking to me, sticking to my spoon, it's sticking to everything. So if we put it in there and give it a little twirl about, coat, remove some of the excess. Now, oh, it doesn't stick. So that's the reason why we're putting this mixture on. So I'm just going to cover them up and pop them in a bowl. So you don't want to have loads on, you just want to give it a coating. And then I'll show you the texture. Okay, so you would do that until you've completely done the whole of your marshmallow, and that is what the end result is going to look like. So you can see the squishiness. Yeah. So I've cut it in quite big chunks. Like I say, you can cut it as big or as small as you want. It's entirely up to you. So at this stage, if you've not already started eating it, which if I was on my own, this would just be continuously going in my mouth, you can store it in an airtight container. So you can put it in like a Kilner jar with a lid, or just a Tupperware pot with a lid. And I would just maybe put a piece of greaseproof paper or baking paper at the bottom, and then put it in. But you do need to make sure that it's all coated to stop it getting sticky, and it needs to have no moisture coming into the tub that you keep it in. You can freeze marshmallow as well. We have tested it, so you can again do everything that we've done now. You would then put it in your airtight container, put it in the freezer. When you want to use it again or have it again, then you just take it out, leave it on the side for an hour to defrost, and then you might want to just give it another coating of your icing sugar mixture, because obviously being in the freezer, it is going to gain a little bit of moisture on there. So then you could coat it, and then it will come out and look like this again. So that's it, I think. Is there any more questions, Holly? Anything that anybody wants to know? No? Anything you want to add, Mum? Can she not? Right. Yeah. So I'm just going to bring over what we've made. So we've got our marshmallows here, and we've got our fudge. So like I said, the recipes are all on the Sugar and Crumbs recipe page, which is Sugar and Crumbs mixing it up.co.uk. It's on the back of all the Sugar and Crumbs packaging. You can also go through a link from the website, the Sugar and Crumbs website, to the recipe site, where you can print off your recipe, get a copy like this. It has your ingredients and your method, so you've got it to hand, and you don't need to keep going back to your computer to check things off. And if you spill anything on it, you can obviously just print it again. All the recipes are tried and tested by ourselves using the Sugar and Crumbs products, and I hope you enjoyed it.
Well, thank you very much, Laura. And I've got to apologise to everybody for the quality of the video. We did seem to be having some streaming issues, which are still carrying on. But
Yeah.
Anyway, I think they will have got the gist of it. So
It's living in the country, that's the problem. You don't get the internet here.
well, anyway, thank you very much, and thank you for everyone for bearing with us. And we'll be back tomorrow morning at 11:30. So
Yeah,
thank you very much.
Yeah,
Thank
don't
you,
forget
Laura.
to like
Bye
and
now.
share.